Something
We
like
need to
this.
start that their blooming Audacity thing, don't we?
Oh,
we do
yeah.
need to start Audacity. I totally forgot.
And 10 seconds of silence now that we're
It's fine.
live.
Yeah,
That's true. We'll just do
We'll
it
just
live.
do
but Annalise
10
hasn't
seconds
said
of silence on the air.
Annalise
Well,
hasn't
no.
said 10 seconds yet, so we can talk until she says.
Everyone eventually is quiet, and I'll just grab it somewhere else, even if it's slightly more work. As long as Audacity's on, that's all that matters.
No, we can do 10 seconds. Don't start changing the rules now.
Yeah.
We're
You
live.
confuse us.
Very
Our
boring.
listeners need to see this.
Yes.
The behind the
Guys,
scenes.
we have to understand the rules, and you can't go changing them willy-nilly, like making the mass of something zero for no reason.
Gerald just learned about Mass Effect, the video game. That's what we did before we went live. We talked about Mass Effect.
I mean, yes, I'm intrigued to know how in future we might be able to travel vast swathes of space in less than 300 centuries and stuff. But just to say, oh, the mass of this is zero, so we can go faster than light now. It just at the speed of light.
Well, you had to uncover a new, hitherto unknown element that when an electrical charge is run through it, creates a Mass Effect field.
And then you make a spaceship out of that.
We didn't discover it. Well, it was in the ruins that we found.
It was in the ruins that we found.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You see, every 50,000 years or so, Gerald, civilization.
Oh, right. We didn't even tell him about the Reapers.
The what?
The Reapers.
This is now a Mass Effect podcast where Andy and I explain Mass Effect to Gerald.
To Gerald, who hasn't got a clue.
Gerald, you should play video games so you can join us in these stupid discussions.
But I'd be playing the wrong ones. I know. I'd come on the podcast and say, "Hey guys, I've been playing this," and you would have played that like 6 years ago.
This game is like 14 or 15 years old. The one I was playing yesterday. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. You can go and play old games. No one cares. It's good.
Do they not? All right.
Nope. It's totally acceptable.
Cool. Mass Effect, eh?
Mm-hmm. It's an old game, and you sneak up behind things and then you shoot them. All right. So.
Is it old enough where you have to type L and they turn left and type R?
No, but those are good ones. Oh, we should play Monkey Island. That should be our next week's podcast. We just play Monkey Island on the air.
This is the state of just our lives right now. We're like, we did read a story, we could discuss it, or we could just do no thinking. That's great about Mass Effect. You don't need to think much.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do a podcast.
Yeah. Are we doing 10 seconds or?
Yeah, we had. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to edit the audio, so that's kind of your call.
We'll have 10 seconds.
Okay. Okay.
Did you literally just start slurping tea during our 10 seconds of silence?
That's terrible. That's. There's us trying to be good and quiet.
Guys,
stuff.
This is Literary Roadhouse, one short story once a week, and I'm Andy.
I'm Anais.
And I'm Gerald, otherwise known as Captain Bleeko for this episode.
I'm also known as Nix Shepherd, Commander Nix Shepherd. Okay.
Speak, Andy.
This week, we read I Only Ever Shot at a Goat by Alex Capdeville. All right, I'm going to summarize this. Now, before I give a summary, I just want everyone to know I'm prepared to be wrong on the facts and have misunderstood something. But here we go. I'm launching into it. Story about a veteran who now works in a rage room with some jerk named Todd. And Todd seems like a jerk. Also has hallucinatory visions of his dead friend, Dopey Hernandez, who killed himself while they were doing soldier stuff. And then there's this one girl who comes into the rage room sometimes and doesn't break anything. She just kind of sits there. We later found out her name's, is it Christy? I want to say Christy. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to double check my notes.
It's Christy.
And she's got some memory problems or something, probably stemming from when she drilled nail gun into her head, and keeps introducing herself afresh during the course of their conversation. So that's neat. And Todd gets in trouble because he had sex with a large-breasted woman. It's like clearly he's lying about that. I don't know what the deal is, but apparently he's being extorted for a huge sum of money because he had sex with a large-breasted woman and she filmed it. And then Todd, like an idiot, tries to rob the place. And in the end, our hero accidentally lets himself be robbed after completely thwarting the robbery, and then he and Christy leave. The end. Also, he doesn't kill himself in the middle. He was gonna maybe, then he doesn't. That's it.
Okay.
For audio listeners, we are nodding our heads and making.
We're nodding our heads.
expressions.
Yeah. I need Andy to explain to me why he thinks this story is very funny. But first, Gerald, what did you think of this story?
I liked it very, very much. The end. I liked it very much. It was as usual with one of the Carve magazine. It's Carve magazine. Andy chose a Carve magazine story. Who knew? So it's well written as usual for a Carve magazine. But I really enjoyed the whole premise. I liked the viewing of sort of post-military life, which I think is something that doesn't get much airing. And I liked the contrast between the sort of mundanity of just running a business or being the manager of a business or whatever he is, and the rage and the violence that is in the rooms, and also the sort of flashbacks to his military service. So I like this a lot. I really, really liked it. What can I say?
Okay. Andy, you also liked it based on.
Yeah, well, I liked it. Here's the thing. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to like it. Even as I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of middle of the road. I was like, oh, why am I enjoying myself? I don't know. So it had a lot of things that I've hated in other stories specifically, but I think it's the thing Gerald was saying, the nice weird contrast between the violence and mundanity. He has PTSD from his military service, but not from horrific violences he inflicted or saw inflicted on civilians or anything like. He wasn't involved in any active combat his entire time there. They saw one weird scene with a kid that was disturbing, but I don't know exactly what was going on or implied to be going on, but that led his friend to kill himself. That's not great. But right, he doesn't have, the old shell shock, right? He wasn't plunged through the horrors of war. He just, hated it, and it destroyed his psyche and hurt his friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that with the kid was implied, right?
Right. But I don't know exactly what was implied, just that it was something.
Maybe the tension and the proximity to a potential unpleasant death or permanent disablement, and everybody on edge. I think that's one of the things that comes out about the recent wars is that we now get a better insight, and also on films about the wars where we now have an insight for what it's like to be there and to be constantly on edge and constantly in fear of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, and something I always think about is when we take young men, boys, most of them, and we put them in this sort of military environment, and they're taught to blindly accept orders, and everything is regimented, and they do this by order. And then when they finish the service, we just say, off you go now, and they're put into a society where they have to make their own decisions, and I think it's really difficult for ex-service people to to reintegrate into society because of that, because they all of a sudden they have to decide what they've got to do and what they're going to do, and I think it's quite disorientating for them. So I enjoyed the fact that he's got this fairly mundane job in this crazy business. I mean, these things don't exist, do they? No one's.
You do.
Oh yeah, they
What?
super exist.
Yeah.
Rage room.
Oh yeah,
No.
Yeah. You could go break things.
let's go break things.
What? Okay, so well, that's it. Well, that makes it even more sort of ordinary then, because they, it's just an ordinary job to him, and he does it well, and I like this sort of the little things he does, and the cleaning he does, and the restocking of toilet roll and things like that. I just, it's trivial, but it's a stark contrast to other things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll shut up now.
As for what's funny, all of the descriptions of the different rage room, what do you call them? Clients, connoisseurs, rageaholics.
Yeah.
Like each one of those is great. Every single one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is something about how like the rage room is like an acceptable violence. Like this is where you get to unleash all of this, which has this kind of parallel to the way that to what you come to see in war, right? Like this is where it's very different, but it has this sort of like compartmentalizing of violence and the rest of society. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first started reading it, I was more into it, and then as the story went, it kind of lost me a little bit, and I'm not quite sure why. So, Andy, you mentioned that this story did some things that other stories did that you hated when other stories did it, but here it was okay. Like what?
I assume most of the same things that made you lose it. I mean, it was very much a Carve magazine story. Haha, this ticket Carve.
I don't know why, but I guess it's because it's very distinct, the kind of stories they tend
Right.
to go for.
They've got a clear editorial voice, which honestly
Yes.
is super great. I just
Yeah.
don't always like it.
Mm-hmm.
But then that just tells me I'm not the target demographic. Apparently Gerald is.
Yes. Ooh, dig alert.
No, it's not. You're allowed to
right.
like what you like.
You can like things.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're allowed to like things.
It's good.
But no, okay, is it incredibly dreary and just sort of about dreary, sad things? Does it not really have an end? Yeah. It doesn't really even have a middle as such. It just sort of is a bunch of things at you. Though I don't like that usually. Just structurally, it doesn't flow like I think a story should.
Yeah.
But it
maybe-
does develop, though, doesn't it? It does, especially with regard to Christy, because she initially she doesn't say a word, but they start having conversations and all this sort of stuff. So there is development in that way. And I must admit, the first time I met Dopey Hernandez, I didn't realize that he wasn't. He was a figment of his imagination. I thought he was a real person, so I was a bit confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the ending, I was when I first read it, I thought, oh, that ending's a bit disappointing. But actually, I quite liked it because it was fitting in a way.
It's kind of a happy ending.
Yeah. There you go.
It is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
A nice happy ending?
Kind
Well,
of.
Sorry.
I think the Chrissy stuff for me felt maybe I missed something, but it felt a little bit like tacked on. Like I wasn't really like there was the whole thing where like Todd keeps showing him all these like women on like Tinder, and then he's like, "Oh, I get laid all the time. I gotta get laid," and he's like, "Well, I can't even get a boner. I haven't got a boner in 7 months." He doesn't say it, but he like thinks it. So there's like that aspect of it. So it's like this kind of hopefulness where like now he likes Christy. So there's that, but it's still just something about it felt a little like it's like there was a lot of sort of just but sort of like why? Like it seems like there's something about the fact that she has this memory issue because Is it because she also has gone through stuff and she's also feels like she has like a broken brain? She tried to kill herself. Like, is that it? Is it that? Like, if it's that, like, if it's kind of like trauma bonding kind of stuff, it just feels a bit okay. Like, it just, all right.
Well, I guess that's the thing. I don't know which part of this is tacked on. Some parts of this feel like they're tacked on, but I don't know what the underlying structure is. Is it the Dopey Hernandez thing? Is it whatever Todd's doing in the rage room? Is it the Christie thing? I don't know what the core of the story is. It seems like it would be the Dopey Hernandez thing.
I think it's the Dopey Hernandez thing. Yeah.
We get like the least resolution on that one out of all of the other things, like narratively.
Sort of. He doesn't see he doesn't hallucinate Dopey one night and actually sleeps and it shifts to nightmare instead of an actual hallucination. So I think that's a sign of like some kind of improvement.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, you're not incorrect, but also,
yeah.
I think is solid.
There's some other funny bits. There's like when he puts the night light on for his mother.
Yeah.
Jesus has 3 settings. Great line. I just loved that. That made me chuckle.
And a few times with the narrator, he confronts like the hopefulness of religion. He goes, I don't know, maybe with Dopey Hernandez with his mom. Maybe. Sure. Yeah, he has that sort of attitude to it. And also, like, I think having it where the narrator himself didn't experience any actual combat but still has PTSD was smart. Because it like having been in combat shouldn't necessarily be a requirement for being in what is still, by all accounts, a terrible environment. And even if you're not experiencing it directly, you're still constantly every day in fear of something happening, right? Like, it's still just a high adrenaline situation when you're moving in a particular formation through a town. And the whole mud hut scene, even though nothing violent happened, it could have, right? There's that constant fear. And then also just the way that these guys relate to each other, sort of have this shell, or like Dopey becomes a bit of a punching bag for everyone. And he's the soft, sensitive one. And he ends up committing suicide. And this guy was his battle buddy. So there's like that guilt, that weight. So there's all these other ways. And just being in that environment can still be traumatizing. That's true of just about anything in life, but it's especially true of war, you know? Yeah.
I think young people, young men and women are put into that situation. I mean, I remember when I was 30 odd years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, that being in the army was a chance to see the world and join the army, see the world, and learn a trade, and it was a viable alternative to sort of normal work. And then stuff started happening, and Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff, and all of a sudden people realized that if they sign up to this job, they could actually go and have to fight in a war and potentially lose their own life or be maimed. And I think it changed it for a lot of people. I think there's a lot that it's just the taking of young people and putting them in this situation and expecting them to perform because they're told what to do. And I just think in this story, I think we see the effects of that. We see, what happens to them when they come back.
Yeah. While you were talking about like the shift and how people see military service, it reminds me of an article I read a few months ago, and I can't remember all of it, but one thing that stuck out with me, it was like how the military in the US is, probably around the world, but in the US is struggling to recruit from the new young generation. And they were rattling off like 3 or 4 reasons why. And one of them is don't want to die, which was, I think that's it. I think you got it, guys. Good study. Well done. Reasons Gen Z does not want to join the military, don't want to die. Cool.
Yeah, it's changed. The First World War, people, maybe the Second World War to a certain extent, but people signed up for king and country and queen and country and fight to defend your country. And now increasingly we're fighting wars somewhere else, which has sort of basically nothing to do with us. But we've decided, someone has made the political decision that it's a good thing for us to go and fight the bad guys over there, and all of a sudden it's there's so much about, we have a charity over here, Help for Heroes, which is all about helping people reintegrate into society, especially if they've been maimed and lost limbs and that sort of thing. And people see what can happen, and even if you're not killed, you can come back with no legs. And I think people thinking about signing up think, do I really want that? Do I want that possibility?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't like war.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think something was tacked on. Maybe it was the Todd bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think,
but the Todd bit was so small. It was so itty bitty. Tiny.
It was, but I like the way that he sort of injects a lightness into it at times. Like that is a point where he says there's a short fat guy in room 3 sluggishly whacking ceramic garden gnomes with a nightstick. He paid with a gift certificate.
I'm sorry, give me one moment. Something's happening in my downstairs.
Oh,
okay.
That's not a euphemism, is it? Something's in my downstairs.
He is in a 2-story house. So it could be quite literally.
We presume that's what the problem is.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there were funny descriptions. Like I said, it's the prose itself was very good, and from the very beginning, like I was in, like it was easy for me to get into the story. I liked that the first time you don't realize Dopey is a hallucination. That's intentional. Because then later when you realize, you go, oh, it's like, because then that shows just how real these hallucinations are for the character. You're supposed to be thrown by it. Like, I'm like, wait, why are they in the same bed? Like, that was my question. Like, why are they sharing a bed? Are they gay? Like, but the mom's here. So I was very confused.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So sorry about that, friends.
Is your downstairs in order?
Yeah, my grocery order came 20 minutes early and refused to leave them at the door. So he was just pounding at my front door.
I see.
I checked the box that said leave them at my front door.
Okay. We worried it was a euphemism.
Nope. Just some guy banging on my door.
Downstairs problems. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We don't want
I see. For like poop.
Yeah, well, or whatever.
We were worried.
Below the waist. That's just...
But it was literally in the house.
The first floor of my house, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I would say I mostly liked sort of dislike, but yeah, at some point it just sort of lost me. And I think it was that, as I was just like, it feels bleak and I'm not latching on to anything for whatever reason. Like, it doesn't have to have a point. We've had stories with no point, but it's drawing something so accurately that I'm like, that was fun just to read that. There's something that just wasn't quite pulling me in. I think, and the Kirsty stuff I think was my least favorite because I think it felt the most pointless to me.
Yeah, and it does end in a funny place where it's, the place has got I was still trying to get over the fact that these things exist. I just America, what are you doing? She's just, it's, I mean, we've seen the progression. Maybe they'll work through their problems together, who knows, but it just sort of seems to end. Maybe that's okay. Maybe we're not supposed to have a sort of happy ever after and choirs singing and stuff. Just, it's okay.
Yeah. Also, was this just me in the same way that what I thought was sort of an implied abuse on the little boy? There seemed to be implied abuse in the high school years against Christy with the stepdad, right? There was that as well. I'm pretty sure it's implied sexual abuse in both cases.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But also, like, well, I guess that's really interesting. Just it's implied from scant evidence, but like pretty heavily implied.
It's in the clothes. So the boy's dressed like a girl, and
Right.
Christy is in the like very extreme like modesty stuff with like the braids and like the prairie Little House on the Prairie outfits.
Right.
And then the way that the men around them, like the one guy's rubbing the kid's back in this kind of possessive way, and the dad would wait until she was well into the building before he would leave, and he would pick her up and right. There was just
Right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think little clues that where you see that something else has gone on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it has that sort of, as bleak as is in the military, outside things aren't seeming much better. Also, I get the sense that his mom is an alcoholic or on drugs. Like there was just something about the way that he carries her up and everything. Like this is a recurring thing. Like she's an alcoholic or some other drug.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe she's just ill. Maybe she's just ill with something. I didn't.
Yeah, but sleep apnea doesn't get you to the part where people just sort of pick up your limp body to another bed.
No, that's true. Yeah, I think we're.
Also, there's something about buying like a pink Jesus nightlight. I don't know why I pictured pink. Did it say pink or am I just picturing
I
that?
don't think it said pink.
No, I'm picturing that for some reason. like a plasticky nightlight. Maybe it's not, but that she orders that from Amazon that very quickly puts you in a particular class, right? Like it's just something about that that's just like a quick shorthand for exactly who this woman is and the kind of house that she has. And yeah.
I bet you it's not pink since it's a Rio de Janeiro Jesus nightlight.
Yes.
Could be another color. I think it's because one of the gag gifts senior year of high school was a pink Jesus 8-ball that had the whole pose, and then you shake it on the bottom, it was a magic 8-ball. So that's probably why you associate that statue with pink if you buy it in plastic.
I think Jesus has 3 settings. I put it on the first one where only his hands glow. I think that's
that's pretty solid.
That's a funny little line.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a well-constructed story. I don't know, it missed something for me.
Yeah.
Answer me, Jesus. That's the name of the magic 8-ball Jesus. Answer me, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, really?
Okay. Also, at the end, I don't think he accidentally lets Todd rob. I think he just doesn't care.
Right. Yeah. Well, but like he cared enough to shut down Todd immediately and did just like hand over the thing. You could have just handed over like, oh, okay, I guess I'm robbed. I don't care.
No, you want to tell Todd he's dumb. You want to be like,
just Todd, Todd he's dumb. You left and then just like dropped the money at some point in the next 10 feet.
Yeah. I think you want to call out Todd for being dumb. It's an obviously plastic gun. I can see your stupid earring. I like when he describes Todd as a rash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Christie's sort of leading him to perhaps to a new life. So he leaves everything behind, including the money.
She doesn't know she is. She's like a 51st dates situation over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Which might be what's appealing to him.
Yeah.
But why? I suppose he's taking the cash because Todd isn't, because Todd's the manager, so he isn't there. So Todd is off duty, so he's taking the cash to the night safe. I guess.
Yeah.
We'll let that go.
Also, I'm surprised people are paying in that much cash.
Yeah, in a rage room during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Is that what it's written?
Well, that's a lot of mask references.
Mask references and sanitizing everything.
Yes, of course. Good point.
Seems like a pandemic story.
Yeah. Rage room.
Yeah. Like a 2021. I'm not to think of it. It would have been closed in 2020. Like a 2021.
Yeah.
Things are starting to open, but you got to do all the things.
Do all the things, yeah.
Wait, what year is it now?
23.
23.
Really? Really?
There was a place nearby that was still making people wear masks until it was officially no longer a pandemic. Okay, I just want to pick up my to-go sandwich. Like, bye. Every time I go to grab I gotta. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
And
It's a bit crazy.
it's worth it. The sandwiches are that good.
Yeah. It wasn't a bagel sandwich, was it?
No, it wasn't.
You
Subs.
see, I learn things, you see, and they stick.
He remembers them.
I remember them. Nothing wrong with my memory.
You haven't taken a nail gun to the old cranium vortex. That's a biological term.
Okay. Is there anything else we want to say about this story?
No, I think we've said.
Yeah, we've said enough.
I think so.
Let's throw some numbers at it.
We've been recording for 30 minutes, so that's
We've
a
been
sign.
very loopy this entire morning. Afternoon.
Yep.
A little.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Our Slack
That's
channel is a
right.
bunch of clocks with faces on it. Like, just to tell us, just so
Really
everybody
terrifying
understands.
faces.
Terrifying clock faces is what was happening pre-show.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
All right.
Just happens.
Ratings. What do you guys want to give the story?
I must admit, I came into the podcast on a 6 because I liked it and it resonated that much. But actually, yeah, I've toned down. I'll still give it a 5.5. I think it's really, really. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. I like the messages it was given. It's not. Yeah, it's just not knocking it out of the park. But yeah, 5.5 is what I'm giving it.
As I was reading this story, I was thinking in my mind's ear, I thought, this feels like a 3 story. This feels like a story I give a 3 to. But I'm going to give it a 4, which is 1 higher than that.
Wow. Maths too. Very good.
I'm staying at a 4. Came in at a 4. It's a 4.
Oh, you
Okay.
you had me. I thought you were gonna like come in hard at not liking it. You not liked it the most.
Yes.
But I not liked it the most because of my kind of like right now, a lot of short fiction that's coming out right now and a lot of these online journals, it's like very close to like a personal essay, like it's fictional, but it has this like working through personal trauma kind of stuff. And it's not my cup of tea because I want the story to do something different or do something more. And there are authors right now who are doing. I'm not saying every single person doing.
I am
There's
saying
a lot
every
of
single
this.
person does this.
There's a lot of this, and it's just starting to exhaust me. Like it's like I want the entertainment, and maybe it's because everything else is really bleak. Where it's like my escapism shouldn't be as bleak as the rest of life right now or in society. You know what I mean? I mean, my personal life is fine, but I just kind of the soup we're all in, and it's like I want to escape into something a bit different. Actually, I don't even care if what am I escaping into is super bleak if it's still entertaining. Like I keep thinking Carmen Maria Machado, like her stuff is still like, oh my God, heavy subjects, but crazy stuff is happening. There's something else to chew on, something that's more engaging than just like, yeah, this sucks. Read about it in a New Yorker long form article. And now it's in a fictionalized version. Pretty much the same thing. But you know what I'm saying? Like I think that's what's missing the mark for me, where it's just like you have very well drawn the life that I read about and live. Even if I'm not personally living the story, I'm hearing these stories. And it's like, the bleakness is still there. So that's why it's like, you know, for me personally, even if the story is well constructed, it has its funny moments, the story itself is good. It's just, I want a space laser. Like,
Yep.
It's space laser.
Ooh, like a pink laser from space,
that'd be great.
like Philip K. Dick.
Let's do it.
We should. Philip K. Dick.
Yeah. Let's, you know, be weird. Yeah. Give me some talking animals. I don't care. You know, maybe there's a monster, like a literal one. Like, what if the story had an actual monster?
Wow.
Cool. Like, what if you took the thing that's haunting you and you made it weird? Just go weirder. Don't make it the fictionalized version of the New Yorker article that I read. That's where I'm coming back to. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think I finally articulated what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Next week, we are reading Everyday Use by Alice Walker. But before you go, tell us which weapon you'd select in a rage room in our Facebook discussion group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers. Real quick, you guys, what weapon? Would you go for something sharp or something blunt?
Blunt.
Blunt.
I'd want to have
Okay.
something sharp, but I can't be trusted with that. I
Yes.
know what to do with a blunt instrument.
I think blunt's more fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Cause more destruction. Yeah.
But do you want like a nightstick or do you want like an old style like mace?
To me, I think a baseball bat would suffice. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
I think something's funny, like a mannequin leg. But,
Ooh.
as long as it's sturdy.
I want like a Morning Star, the mace with the spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If you think it should be something sharp, like an axe, let us know why. If you prefer sitting quietly with your thoughts or a good book, spread your peaceful habits by leaving a review of Literary Roadhouse on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, or consider supporting us financially on patreon.com/Literary Roadhouse. Every bit helps. As always, share this podcast with the obnoxious coworker who shows you photos of scantily clad women on Tinder. There's one in every office. Not in mine, actually. Until next time, read a good story.